Hey traders, Nick Shaheen here looking at the small caps. Well, if you follow me, you've known for a while that I've been bullish, and especially on days that were bad where CNBC does a special where markets in turmoil over some ridiculous BS reason that they conjured up, like the inversion of the yield curve. The first one was completely fake because from the sense of they were tracking one yield curve, which is the 10s to 2s, which if for as long as I've watched CNBC, that's the only thing they talk about. And then one day, the 10-year to 3 months inverts, and then suddenly that's the yield curve they look at, and the headline was, the yield curve is inverted. A few weeks later, I think the real 10 to 2 inverted, and then they had that same headline again. So anyway, I've been bullish. I've been right. Clearly, we are in all-time highs. So today's video is to look at, today is the 7th of November. To look at the small caps. So as far as the S&P, we are going to go to a 1-year chart. Let's go to the SPY. Everybody knows the SPY. Let me show you my lines. Ignore all of them except for the white lines here. I knew that we had a pinch point here. I thought we would either do this or do that. We did that. And first opportunity was failed on double top. Now we hit it. So from what I can see, we hit all measured moves. So all the targets that are measured, we hit them, except maybe if you do an inverse cup and handle on this neckline here, we definitely have more upside to go. So from here, it's basically open air. I can't argue for anything. However, the small caps, they're still not at their all-time highs. So how come they're lagging? And if there's anything in the charts that could give us an idea what's going on. First of all, the small caps should have been leading because, in theory, they are more U.S.-centric than, so they're less exposed to China than the big guys. But that wasn't the case because they are suffering as a collective. So it's a basket of 2,000 stocks, for example. And I did have a region of resistance that they are in right now. One can argue that this was a 1582 was a level that they should have failed at, but they didn't. So now onus is on the bulls to prove that they can use it. So if I were to draw a new line here, I would put it at 1582 and say, okay, what happens? See if they can hold that, okay? Now this had been failure before. They're above it now. This had been failure before. They're above it now. These are dailies, so we've already closed above them even yesterday. So one could make the argument that they're already in a breakout. But this is the next level of resistance up here, which is 1620-ish. All right, and this was a level here. So the whole zone is resistive, but they're trying to inch above it, and onus is on the bulls to use it as a floor. I don't like to chase it unless they show me above it. So if I'm long, I can stay long. I will trim some, I'll sell some diagonals or something. So what is this white line right there? This was my argument that we had a rally, we spent months consolidating, and then we're doing the second push. In theory, if I'm right, this is not a typical ABC chart, ABC pattern, but a burst. They spend months with a lot of fear consolidating. So there was a lot of passion here. And now they can finally push away. But that will show up on the weekly. So I'm going to switch to a weekly chart. So this is a weekly chart. I'm going to take out all the lines. These are the small caps weekly. So I'm going to draw on it fresh. This was a joke from before. I asked somebody what is Soylent Green. They didn't know. I was like, really? What? You must be young. Anyway, that was an old movie. I think in the 70s, 75, 74, something like that. All right. So small caps, 2016. Just to set things up. So this must be the election rally right there, Trump. And then, so let's put a T here, actually. That's pretty important. Resistance in 2016, right? Finally, they broke through it. Support since then. The Christmas crash. This Christmas crash, people underestimate it. Nothing was going well. Every headline was bad. Every headline was bad. And then the Fed was the straw that broke the camel's back. They came out and said, We're against the whole market. And then they flipped. He kind of realized he did a boo-boo. So this is a solid test. Solid test. All right. So I can see that there was a consolidation zone right here. Good 6 months, right? That served as a floor to this rally, right? They tried to hold it here. They failed. Now I'm going to say that this was a mistake right here. So I'm going to say that this same S that was here is still in effect here. This is the consolidation period that we were in right now. So consider that this spot is the same as this. They rallied, they consolidated, they rallied. They rallied, they consolidated. In theory, they should be able to do this and tackle this resistive zone right here. So if I'm long, I would sell some call spreads up here later in the year or maybe early in the next year. This way I can stay long but hedge a little bit. That's personal. If I'm not long and I'm looking to chase, I would do it with tight stops, or I would use dips. As long as as long as prices are above 1560, the buyers are in charge. Which means what? Which means dips will be bought. So any bad days where you wake up and see NBC is scaring you about something, like the other day, yesterday I think, we had a headline of the deal may not happen until December. Well, it was such double worded headline that even the machines were mistaken. They spiked, immediately sold off because it was like a double negative in the same sentence. So they didn't know what it meant. They don't matter. Really, they don't matter. So this is how I just marked up the stock, okay? The chart. So I'm going to repeat. Resistance way back then. Broke out. Trump rally. Solid support. Solid support. Very solid test. Okay, this was a real good effort on the bears' part. But they went back to solid support. So this consolidation zone could yield this. If I'm long, I stay long. Hopefully I worded it in plain simple English here. Forget the headlines. Who cares? This is a chart. That's how price always unfolds. They say price is truth. That's why they say it. Okay, these are the charts that I've drawn before. You can see the lines. I don't remember all of these lines on boxes. This is the box I did here. Where is it? So you can see where I put here the box, right? Same thing. We have a zone and a zone, and this, by the way, was a measured move, the dip. And these white lines here is the potential. Now, I am not a technical analyst. Respect to all of those technical analysts out there. But I know enough about it to use it really well, especially if I'm not trading second to second, because the price action, there's no doubt in my mind that these are resistance until they're broken out. And then they become an opportunity. So this ping pong, I don't know if you did this when you were little. Did you sit in the hallway, close all the doors, take all the breakout, the things that can break, throw a super ball against the wall, and it starts banging around? And if somebody opens the door and it finds the opening, goes. Same thing. Ping pong. If somebody opens the door below, they're going to fall to the red. If they find an opening, they're going to go. So usually they break out, they come back to test it, and then they finish the job. It happens a lot. Here they failed to finish the job. I'm sure the May correction, April-May correction, one of the headlines there. But it was merely a delay. They're back to it. So now we have consolidation. The price action is going to unfold the way it does. So here's another level. Look at this little bar I put here way back then. That was years ago, March of 2018. It was a neckline. It's not a coincidence that it still is relevant here. So check this out. If I do this, I think 300 will get us here. Look at where that line is. It lines up perfectly with the top right here. So Nothing is a coincidence here. So this chart could be ABC company. It doesn't matter. It just so happens to be a collection of 2,000 stocks. So these are pivot zones, and they're usually resistance, but they also offer an opportunity. So how do I trade this? I go back to the daily. From the daily, it tells me if I'm long, I can stay long. If I'm faster trader, I can break it even to an hour chart. So here, I find some weaknesses down here, but as long as they're above 1590, 1591, the buyer's in charge. So they could fill this gap right here. But if they do, they're going to find some support without any new headlines. Then look at the nice, in fact, I'm going to do it right now. Hopefully it'll let me do that. I'm almost at my limits. So if I was looking to go long, I would chase the breakout of here. Depends on the time frame. Or I would do this. I'm going to do this. I'll add an alert down here. Why is that? If we get to here, might be a level of support to buy. Higher lows, it should continue without any new news. If I go back to the daily, now you can see those two and see where they coincide with past history. So slice and dice the chart with different time frames. I cannot stay married to one time frame. Here's a monthly chart to eliminate all the noise. Okay, this is just goes back to 2001. Consolidation, they rally, they dip, go back to the consolidation zone, prior support. They rally, they stall at prior resistance. It's all the same. And then they get to it again, they break through. It serves as support just above it. And then they fell back to here, the Christmas. Okay, so here's a bit of information that we didn't have on this chart right here. So we went to a monthly chart, so we can see the zones, the same concept. Okay, look at how relevant these levels are. All right, then this is another one. So held. All right, so this is another one, and this is another one. Kind of I would even draw one here. Not a coincidence. So one could argue that this was a consolidation zone right here. It may come into play. So now you can see it clearly. How long have we been in here? These are monthlies. Every candle is 1 month. So at the end of the month, are we above here? Then this is the target or more. So here we are, multiple time frames, multiple objectives, multiple possibilities. I could trade it long, I could trade it short, I can do an iron condor. So if we're stuck in this range, why not sell an iron condor? If you don't know what that is, message me. It's a completely different lesson. Nick signing out.